So I think that we can get started. Um, and welcome to everyone already. I hope that you're having a good Saturday afternoon. So this is the first artist talk for the non-traditional show for CaFA 2022. And we have Daniel Hort today, who, if you wouldn't mind just like giving us a little information about CaFA and the festival in itself, and then I can go into the specifics of non-traditional and then start
Absolutely.
talking to the artist.
So the CaFA Art Fair, we're in our 12th year, which I'm being told is the year of closure, is that 12 is the full cycle. So when we did 10, I said to everybody, this is year one. So now it's year 12. So year 13 will be year one yet again. So we're in our 12th year. We've been in Bridgetown pretty much all that time. We were up at the Gap for a bit and been around a little bit, but we've been in Bridgetown now about 5 years. And we are there again at the Norman Center with the non-traditional exhibit, which we're very pleased with. Looks really good. And it was a little rocky only because the island itself wasn't sure if it wanted to be opened or not. So obviously most of our event is up online at Caribbean.global, which we're very pleased with that platform as well. We feel like it's really rounding into shape, and we're excited about this year trying to make that a year-round activity on that site so that we can keep the momentum going and continue to offer the best and the brightest of Caribbean culture. We've done I think a terrific job. We have a lot of diaspora artists, a lot of people from the States and Canada and in Europe and all over the world, really, who are very established artists, and we're super thrilled about non-traditional because we feel like it's important to get those grassroots, get those younger generations coming up and in, and we look forward to having things get back to normal in the next year or two and be able to start to offer some of our non-traditional artists opportunities to go to international places like Basel and come up to New York and try to really create a larger opportunities for these young artists that we believe are incredibly deserving. And Zoe, hats off to you. You've done a fantastic job. You really have. The last bunch of artists that we put through have just been fantastic, and this show is no different. It's very strong, and we're excited to have y'all.
Awesome, thank you. And it is a pleasure to be part of this fair as well. It's great to be able to have the opportunity to bring together Caribbean artists. And I mean, saying that and bringing together different Caribbean artists, this show actually has 6 Barbadian artists and 2 artists from Jamaica. And we actually have both of them here today, Bonita Thompson and Sasha-Kay Nicole. And then we have John Alleyne, who is a Barbadian artist, but actually part of the diaspora living in the US. So the list of artists that are taking part, they are Alex Gibson, Bonito Thompson, Delight, Donna Haynes, John Alleyne, Malik Shorey, Sasha-Kay Nicole, and Sydney Mahogany. So I'm going to just share the Caribbean.global website just for anyone that hasn't had a chance to navigate it as well. Just because, just so that you can get an idea of all of the art and also to see the experience that you can get from the website. Just bear with me a moment while I pull that up. Mention you can actually go to Caribbean.global. That's the Caribbean.global is the site, and you can actually see the artwork in a 3-dimensional view, which is great because then you get the idea of how it may look in your homes. And then on their website, you can also purchase the artwork that is available. So first, I want to talk to John Alleyne. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Bonita. That's another way of doing it. So yeah, John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and as an artist and also your artwork?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Zoe again for inviting me to be a part of this show. And I'm just grateful to be, included and to be amongst some strong artists. I was born in Barbados. I was born and raised in Barbados. I moved to Brooklyn, New York when I was 16. And my dad, he had moved a few years prior, so I was able to get, the immigration papers and everything done. And I just started to just find myself as an artist. I always knew that I wanted to be an artist from a young age. And I kind of grew up looking at paintings from in Anglican churches, and because my father's a priest. And so I kind of moved into the art history and history of painting through the church in a way. And then as I moved to Brooklyn, I became just fascinated by street art and graffiti, and which is somewhat of a process that I would like to find within my current practice. The immediacy of using spray paint and the immediacy of using a silk screen to create images. And then also in my process, I also use collage, tearing, cutting paper, and placing that onto kind of a mixed media background, so to speak. So in a way, this is kind of like from lived experience. A lot of my imagery comes from barbershop hairstyle guide posters. And this is imagery that I've found throughout my life, from being in Barbados to then being in Brooklyn to then now being in New Orleans. You know, these are images that I would often find in barbershops and in hair salons. And so these are images that I was looking to find from an early age. I was looking to find some similarities within barbershop and hairstyle guide posters, and just kind of expressing myself through that imagery. So here, and the texture of here, and the relation between, you know, the relation to culture or an identity, a lot of things that I'm looking at in my work.
Awesome, thank you. And it is really nice to kind of feel that connection, especially through like that barber shop experience or hairdresser experience through your work. Thanks for sharing. Sasha, I'm gonna go over to you. Do you mind just like sharing a little bit about yourself as an artist and also your work?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sasha-Kay Nicole, and I'm an artist. I'm from Jamaica. I live in Kingston, downtown specifically, and a lot of my artwork really explore Black femininity. My work basically started out exploring trauma, right? So there's a lot of traumatic events that happen in my own life. And I realized that it was not just my own experience, but others as well. So I started making works around that. I went to Edna Manny College. I studied interdisciplinary studies, and I graduated last November. And basically, always have this interest in exploring digital works because I find it as a kind of decolonizing practice in art, especially the Caribbean. The way that we are, like, young people are taking this other means, you know, of expression and making it more accessible online. And I've always been interested in telling stories from, you know, women within Jamaica. And to be honest, like, I want to be able to tell more stories about other women, you know, but, you know, slowly and surely over time it will be done. My work also look at using African spirituality and Afro-Caribbean spirituality as a source or a site for healing. And this project that I have right here basically explores something that I learned in my earlier days in school. I actually studied web design. And if you understand coding, then you understand that the text is basically codes. And it's a video, which is usually projected. So I do projections and screen works. But yeah, and this is a prayer to Oshun. This is a prayer that I wrote for myself and basically used to, you know, pray. and find, I guess, solitude within your own beauty as a Black woman, because that's something that we don't really get to embrace much. And self-care. That's it. That's really it. Thank you. Oh, I had another project. Sorry, before I leave. There's another project as well that kind of talk about the traumatic element of my work, which is usually done through podcasting and allowing women to come and speak about their experiences. And then those works are basically edited and presented as art. So, and these people is more like collaborative projects. So that's what I'm mostly interested in doing. So yeah, that's me.
Yes, and you can view the videos in person or on the website, and you can listen to the audio element of the podcast video that way. But yes, like thank you for sharing about your work and the intimate stories, and the idea of the experiences and sharing the experiences. And also like it does feel like a very like intimate like self-portrait, which is great because sometimes like when we're showing ourselves, like there's always a piece of that that somebody else can resonate with. So I think it is really important, and thank you. So we're gonna go to Bonito Thompson now, and I'm gonna pull up your work, and yeah, can you also tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist? You're also an NFT artist, and some people may not know what that means. I'll just give the basic, like an NFT, letters as you say, it stands for non-fungible token. There's different interpretations, but my way of explaining it is, that there's like a certificate, like when you're buying a physical piece of artwork, an NFT is a token that's associated with art and like a file of art, whether it be a video, an image, and then you have like ownership of that digital token. But over to you, Bonito. Can you tell us about your work and your collection?
How y'all doing? My name is Bonita Thompson. I go by the artist name Don Dada. Like Sasha-Kay, I also went to Edna Manley. Never finished though. But yeah, my work, I think the best way to describe it is that it's all inspired by dancehall culture and it represents dancehall culture. So my most recent collection, and my Genesis collection, which is this, is all like NFTs and it's all augmented reality art because that's kind of what I do. There we go. This is actually a self-portrait. I call it direction. So it's kind of like after the collection sold out, and I had the concept for this piece from before, but I really did it after the collection sold out, and I was kind of thinking that I have a sold out collection. I'm one of the first people in Jamaica to ever really do this, and I feel like the sky is the limit for me. And it's really just like me taking a moment to think about where I'm gonna go from here, which is why the piece is called Direction. And I also feel like I'm at a space right now where I can't really like fuck up, especially with like the energy that's around what I'm doing, which is why I have like the baby goats. But yeah, to explain it though in my own words, what an NFT is for those who don't know, it's really a way to show ownership of a digital asset. I remember when I was at Edna, it was kind of the case where like digital art wasn't really valued or respected. And it's not until I saw an artist, he's also Jamaican, Taj Francis. It's not until I saw what he was doing with digital art and just like, because his style is really different, that I was really thinking that I can also do something with this. And then NFTs really came about as a way to kind of give value to these JPEGs, So yeah, and when you really think about it as well in terms of art, how you know that a Michelangelo piece was actually done by Michelangelo is that you have to trace back the provenance of that piece. And NFTs really just put everything in one place, so you can see as soon as it's like created by the artist, and you see the full ownership history of that piece. And I think that's what really sets it apart, and that's what really gives the artworks value. But yeah, to give you more background on me and my work, as I said before, it's all inspired by by Jamaican life, you know? So not like the first collection was heavily dancehall, but the other collections that I'm working on, so these two new pieces, the one that was before that's called Direction, and this piece that's called Mango Kush, is actually just exploring different aspects of Jamaican life, or just like living in the Caribbean, to give it a more broader scope. Um, and I'm really just like experimenting with different colors and different energies, different textures. Um, yeah, I I think that's basically it for me. I try to make my work as energetic as possible, and I try to make it representative of a Caribbean lifestyle. You know, so even if you don't know dancehall specifically, you would connect with something in it because you are from the Caribbean, because there's so many different motifs and there's so many different messages and elements in my work. Because that's the next thing, because I have a lot of experience in marketing and graphic design. I think I went to Edna Manley and I studied graphic design. So that's my real background. Sorry, it's very windy outside. um but yeah, that's my real background in graphic design and in marketing. And I think that really fuels into everything that I do in a way. So I have a pretty good understanding of how to create an artwork and how to position that artwork and how to get these main messages across, like the communication behind it. Um, but with my work in general, I try to make work that is true to me and true to my experiences and just true to my whole life in general. Um, it's as authentic, and I think I'm really in a space right now in my life where I'm being as authentic as I can be and as true to myself as I can be. And all of that is kind of showing in my work. Like, I'm not creating for anybody, I'm just creating for myself. And I really love this space that I'm in right now. Um, but yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell. I feel I was just rambling.
No, that's great. No, thank you for sharing. It's yeah, when I first saw your work, I definitely really connected with the colors first, and then realizing like the augmented portion of it, and just like really getting the energy. It's a really nice experience to kind of, I guess, like
Yeah,
everyone kind of showcases that Caribbean feeling and experience differently, and it's really interesting getting that, like you get that big energy from your work, and from you as a person as well. So it's
yeah,
really nice to engage with
because
that.
the thing about it is that, like, because we're all here and we all kind of have a shared experience. We all kind of have that shared Caribbean vibes, whether you're from Barbados or you're from Jamaica or Trinidad or wherever else. There are connecting threads in our lifestyle. Um, and I think what really makes us like stand out is the fact that we speak to that connecting thread, but we do it from our own individual perspectives, and we're not really like trying to copy anybody, because I know I'm not trying to copy anybody. I'm just doing what's inside of me. And as you mentioned the colors, Zoe, I think colors is one thing that I truly like understand, and it's really an innate thing. Like, I never really like studied color theory. Like, yeah, I know the basics of it, but outside of that, it really just goes by emotions and feelings. Like, I try to make work that from a color basis feels cohesive, you know. um yeah, and I really, as much as possible, try to like communicate different energies and feelings and emotions solely from color. And I think going forward with my next collection, and that's one of the reasons why, like, in my pieces, you will see my color palettes on the side, because I don't hide it. But yeah, going forward, I'm just experimenting with color more, because it's really just a vibe. Like, colors tell emotions, and that's what I'm playing off of.
Yeah, that makes sense. You definitely do feel the different um like emotive feelings that you are putting forward with the color. And with that, I actually wanted to put a question to you guys before I go through the other artists that weren't able to make it today. So the question is, how has your artistic style had any influence on your experience in engaging with the art world, especially specifically within the Caribbean? And Sasha, I wanted to pose that to you first.
Hmm. What do you mean? Because I don't want to answer it not knowing what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, there is like a meaning behind it that yeah. So basically, I guess like like within the context of the Caribbean, like there is a specific art world and a specific way of like navigating the art world, like wherever you are. So in the context of the Caribbean specifically, I personally have found that depending on like the artistic style, like it may be harder to be showcased in different galleries. And especially with the show non-traditional, but also with CaFA Fair that has been doing this for years, the
Mm-hmm.
idea is that you can showcase your digital art, you can showcase like any style of art really, like collage, like any style, and there's no like stipulation about this is not allowed or this is not considered to be something that can be showcased in a gallery setting. So the question is just kind of speaking to that, like have you had any experience with like maybe your video work and like
A
how
lot.
that has affected? Yeah, okay,
A
great.
lot of experiences. I mean, Dan Dada just talk about the fact that we went to school and non-traditional practice at Edna is not a thing in 2022, 2021. I mean, I graduated last year. Well, this last year, yeah.
Not a thing.
And I can talk about my experience because I did a digital installation basically with project. The entire room was projected, and the grade that I received, even though it was in the moment when you're being graded for this project, they don't see the value of what you're doing. They don't see the point of it. And then when I felt bad, but then when people start coming into the space and we're like, whoa, I never see something like this in Jamaica before. And you're like, oh, okay, at least other people get it. And it's like, at least regular people get it. The people who in Jamaica who like kind of pigeonhole art is not really embracing. If you're not painting, if you're not doing sculpture, if you're not doing ceramics, there's not much spaces for digital work. Just barely even photography even getting a shine, because I just recently did an exhibition. I'm not going to call the gallery's name, but the first thing the gallery person was saying to me is that young people don't take care of their art. And I was like, what? Like, and I'm like, is it because we're not presenting paintings? And she was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't you paint? And it was like, but we don't paint. This is what we do. And I find that's why I like posting my work mostly, because I find freedom in posting more than trying to find an outlet to, like, I guess, install the work or anything like that. So something like this is really nice. And this is why I jumped on an opportunity to show my work, because it's the first time I've ever been asked to show digital pieces in an exhibition. So thank you. You guys are doing great work.
You're welcome. And it's like I almost kind of knew that this, I mean, I think we all knew that this would be kind of the answer. And it's sad because obviously like the work is great and once again, like we all need to be able to connect with different work. And you saying that this is not the first time, it's not the first time that I've heard that, which is like it's 2021, 2022, and it's anyways, we will change that. Bonito, I'm gonna go to you next because I know that you really resonated with a lot of what Sasha was saying, and then we'll go to you, John.
Wait, can you, I do connect with a lot of what she's saying, but can you repeat the question for me just so like I know exactly what to answer in?
Yeah, sure. So it's, has your artistic style had any influence on your experience in engaging with the art world in the Caribbean?
Aha. So I have a very good real world example of what really sums up my experience with the art world versus like the average art viewer, right? Because I feel like when I make my work, it's not so much for like the traditional space because they don't really get it. So like when I was working on the first art show, and this was in summer last year, I called the National Gallery to invite them, tell them that I'm doing this and invite them. And the response was kind of stink. They're just like, I, like that don't really have value to us. But then when I had the show itself, it was just like a smash hit. And that just shows you that there's kind of two different worlds when it comes to art. You have the old view and kind of like the purist traditional view that art is like fine art, paintbrush on canvas, like the Michelangelos and like these old Jamaican artists who used to do it from before. And then you have the new age artists like myself or like Sasha that's like making works that's just exploring different mediums and fusing tech with art that old people don't really get it. So it's kind of a thing where like for me, I just do what I want to do. Yeah. I just do what I want to do because I know that my work in general is different, and there isn't any other adjective that I can think of that fits it. And it's really a case where you either connect with it or you don't. And for those who don't connect with it, my view of my art is that it's not for you. And those who do connect with it, then that's amazing. But yeah, I think overall though, because technology shapes the world and it shapes the spaces that we interact in, like we're all here because of tech. We're on a Zoom call, we're on our computers or our phones or whatever. Like, and art evolves because of technology. So to say that one form of art is less valuable than another is, in my view, is baseless. And yeah, I just do what I want to do, whether you like it or not. I just make art, and if you connect with it, that's great, and I fucks with you. If you don't, then that's fine, and it's just not for you, and we move. That's really my view on it. And here ends my TED Talk.
Hey, thanks. That's I really like what you said. I think that that's something important. Like even when I'm thinking that, I'm like, yeah, okay, if they don't resonate with it, it's not for you. I think that's a really important thing for people to think about. Like for me, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't worry so much.
When you think about it, art is really subjective. There is no real like global definition of what art is, because even if you study art history throughout the years, there have been different art movements and different definitions of what art is. You have abstract expressionism, there's so many different things, you get me? And each art movement is kind of opposing to the one that came before it. You get me? So it's really, really subjective. So if you don't like it, it's really not for you. And that don't mean that I should change what I'm doing because somebody else is gonna connect with it. There's like 9 billion people on earth, you know? So you just really just do as, and I think as an artist, as long as you're true to your creative energy and your creative voice inside of you, that is fulfilling enough, at least for me.
That's true. Dropping some gems. So we're gonna go over to John. I'm just gonna repeat the question, but also reframe it a little bit because I know that a lot of your artistic experience has been outside of Barbados. So has your artistic style had any influence on your experience in engaging with the art world? And then like, have you seen a contrast in your experience in Barbados versus like, I know it's like not just like where you are, but like different parts of the US or anywhere else in the art world?
So different parts within the US.
Well, not necessarily like specific to that, but like, have you had experience that it has been contrasted in Barbados or the Caribbean, and then like seen a difference in your experience with your art style in the US? But I don't know, however it works for you to like speak to your general experience with your art style and showcasing your work in the art world.
Yeah, I think when I was in Barbados and just around family, you know, I like, for example, I have a lot of memories of being around family and just the type of child that I was interested in looking at art. So you can really judge a lot about, or say a lot about a person based on the type of work that they have in their artwork that they have in their home, right? So I kind of grew up around, you know, the traditional type of Caribbean paintings or drawings of, you know, fishermen and fisherwomen. You have your marketplace, your scene, etc. Those are the type of things that I basically grew up around as well, in addition to the church paintings that I talked about, those religious paintings. I think growing up, I had seen them, but I wasn't really interested in doing those. I was kind of interested in doing my own thing, which is what, you know, Bonita was talking about, in that kind of doing your own thing. I think that is so important for an artist to try and do their own thing, you know, to find what it is that they're interested in doing and just following that path, regardless of what, you know, might have been told to them by parents or family members or teachers, right? Because that's one of the, I think one of the biggest things that can hurt a budding artist is hearing something like, oh, that's not good enough, or this is not good art. Like, what is good art, right? And I think that is a conversation. This idea of what good art and bad art is, that's a conversation that I kind of realized once I moved from Barbados into like New York, for example. I also worked at the Museum of Modern Art, and just to see the comparison in terms of strength when it came to art, right, is like, you would say, oh, like these paintings in MoMA are the best, or, you know, they're seen as being so prestigious. But I also thought paintings in Barbados were seen as prestigious as well, you know, those same traditional paintings. So again, I think it really depends on the artists themselves. For me, I went through graduate school here in the US, graduated from LSU, Louisiana State University, and I studied painting and drawing. And I also studied printmaking, specifically screen printing. And I was taught, you know, from a traditional point of view of, you know, using the correct apparatus, etc. But when in my own process now, I don't use any of the things that I was originally taught. And that is because, for me, is a way to, I guess, you know, go away from the traditional way of art making. But for me, this is what just comes naturally. I find it very restricting to have different things as I'm printing around, you know, having the silk screen placed in a way that it doesn't move. But when I'm screen printing, I'm moving the screen around to create these gestures that relate to painting. But again, I'm not printmaking in a traditional way and printmaking in a way that suits me and my process. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's interesting to see everyone's like experience and also the takeaway for them as an artist, like from that experience. But I also am excited, you know, to see you guys creating these different expressions of your work and how what that means is you being a Caribbean artist and how that will, you know, continue over time and also inspire like other artists coming up. Um, as we were talking about this, I thought that it might be fitting to share Alex Gibson's work right now. So I'm just gonna pull that up.
Are you drinking tea?
Nah, just water.
Tea's always good. So Alex Gibson is a queer non-binary Barbadian interdisciplinary artist based in Vancouver. And they're working on these kind of abstract pieces and collections of pieces that speak to this idea of home. And this piece that you're seeing here is actually also an NFT, which we were just talking about with Bonito, and the name of it is called Approximate Islands. And it's a video of scanned, torn photographs of Barbadian landscapes and cultural materials, flora, and fauna.
You see, this is what I mean when I say that, like, as people of the Caribbean, we have a shared experience because everything that's in this are things that I recognize and I know in Jamaica, and I've never been to Barbados.
Exactly. And the same goes for like the little elements that you have in your pieces as well. So it is, and you can, interesting thing about this is that it's very quick snapshots. So even within the frames that you get that feeling of that connection. And I will share the other piece that they have in their work. And this is actually a physical piece. Sorry. This is actually a physical piece that is in the exhibition. And this piece is called A Body Fraught, and it's a scan photo collage and a drawing made with ink, jet print, ink, and hardware. So I'll ask another question to continue our discussion. Oh, sorry, that was the same question. What story are you telling with your work? And I know that some of you have kind of like, or maybe you guys have already answered that. So maybe it's not, maybe I'll go to the next question. Yeah, like, is there anything like from the experiences that you've had in terms of like your artistic style, in the context of like being as a Caribbean artist, is there anything then that you would want to tell or share to like the younger generation or even the current generation of artists or art collectors within Barbados and the Caribbean, or Barbados, Jamaica, and the Caribbean? No, it's not just Barbados. And John, I'll go with you first.
Okay. Follow your dream. Just, if it is that you want to be an artist, don't listen to anyone else but you. Simple and plain. I was told from a young age, like, oh, you want to be an artist? Why? You're not going to make money. You're not going to do, you know? And I mean, I'm sure that's the biggest thing that we've all heard, but oftentimes, no, especially, and I'm so grateful to, you know, the artists that have came before us who have literally paved the way to some degree, for people like myself, especially here in the US, to be able to be shown in galleries. It has not always been easy, especially for Black artists. And so with that being said, there is a way that we can be able to fit ourselves into the art world, whatever the art world, quote unquote, looks like for you as an artist. And there is hope for you and your practice. So, you know, continue to learn, continue to be open-minded, and be open to change. Be open to change as an artist, be open to change in your studio practice. I think this goes without saying, but this practice is not easy. It's not easy to be an artist. You have to be fearless. You have to be willing to stand up for yourself as well. So I think that's my advice to younger generation and to my fellow artists right now.
Follow your dream. I like it. Bonito, do you have anything to add?
No, my sentiments are along the same lines, like follow your dreams, be true to yourself. And these are all things that I knew it from before, but I think it kind of reinforced for me personally from like because I really did just like quit my job and just like commit to doing this. And it was a very scary process, and in some ways it still is kind of frightening. But what I realize is that the more that I like 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 John said, is just believe in myself and just follow my dreams and just commit to me and my art and be true to who I am and just be fucking authentic. Sorry if anybody don't like when I curse. Just be true to me is just like that's where a lot of the freeing and most rewarding experiences are. So for anybody that wants to just do art or just, you know, launch off into it, is really just to be true to yourself and be confident in your own skills and don't really pay attention to what anybody says, because again, art is subjective. If this person don't like it, somebody out there is going to like it, and it's really a case of you just finding your audience. And I mean, it's kind of cliche, but just find your tribe, find your people, because they're out there. Like there's 9 billion of us on this planet. There are people out there that will connect with the work that you do. And it's not and when you really think about it, you don't need a lot of people to like you or like your work. You really just need like 1 or 2 core people that truly believe in you and truly believe in what you're doing. And from there, the world is yours. And I genuinely believe that. And I've been living by that, and it's just been working for me. So that is my that's what I would say to anybody who's listening that wants to follow their path. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just do it every day. Commit to yourself. Do it. Commit to your work. Have confidence in yourself. And even if you have to fake it at first, do it, because it will work out in the long run, and it will be one of the most rewarding things that you will do with your life. Equally, it will also be very difficult, but still do it. Don't give up. Just do it.
Just do it. I like it. Sasha, do you have anything to add as well?
I mean, I feel like John and Dan, why am I struggling with the name again?
And Dada.
Dan. I was
Or-
joking. I wanted you to say it.
Big
So
Dan.
I really don't have anything else to add, to be honest. Maybe just regurgitate. Because I was thinking that people need community. I feel like that's one of the most important parts of being an artist. And sometimes you feel very lonely, especially if you don't know who else is doing something like you, or if you're not painting, or if you're not doing these drawings that go viral on social media. Continue to post same way. Build network with other Caribbean artists, especially if you are Jamaican. Build relationships with other Caribbean artists. We are in it together. Think about it as like the whole entire art thing being CARICOM. Just thinking about that. Think about it that way, and build relationships, because you don't know what will happen if you build relationships with somebody outside. So if you're not finding Jamaican artists who do the things that you are doing, not necessarily digital art, but anything at all, that you're not, and nobody's really getting to, you're not really getting to anybody or anything, just try to widen your scope, and just post online, and trust me, somebody will see it, somebody will share it if they like it, and you will meet one person that likes it as but done that. Say your name again.
You know, no super cat.
Me know.
You don't know super cat. Dandada.
Done. I was going to call your first name. So
Yeah,
based on, yeah, so basically on that note is basically that just build community, do what you want, yes, because we need a lot of artists to do what they want to do. I'm very sick of people doing the same things over and over. You are an artist and you're an artist for a reason. You have a voice, you want to hear it. So just put out the work out there so you can see what you do. Yeah, that's it.
I love that. Put your work out.
The kind of playing off what Sasha said, like, is very true, because people connect with an authentic energy. Like, you can feel when somebody is faking it, you can feel when somebody is not too comfortable. So you owe it to yourself to be true to yourself. Don't fake it, because people know. Just do what you want to do. And especially with art, because it's so subjective. Do what you want to do. If somebody don't like it, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, just cool. Take the criticism again, because it's subjective. Take the feedback. And in that feedback, you might find a little gem that you can use to like improve whatever you're doing, or you might not. But still, just be true to you. Do what you want to do.
I love it. I'm like getting inspired from you guys talking. Daniel, do you have anything to add? I mean, you would definitely have been, watching the art shows develop over the years and watching the different artists and their styles. So I know that you like resonated with this idea of like what kind of art is typically showcased, and the fact that CaFA has really been a place that, like, I remember the first event I went to, there was an installation, and to me that was a huge thing. Well, I get to see an installation in Barbados, and this is so awesome and exciting, and there's so much art over like a full weekend. So from your perspective, like, is there anything that you want to share to like artists to inspire them, or like, when they're submitting to be parts of these shows, or maybe like, do they need to network a lot to become part of this? Like, what has been your observations?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing is that, of course, as an artist, you have to stick to your guns. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have those blinders. I really believe that. But, I'm a big fan of duality. So I think that what was just said a minute ago is also really, really important, is that you shouldn't be blind to what's going on around you. And so it is really important, as an artist, I believe, to look at what other people are doing and see what's going on. And one of the things that you'll discover, just as I'm listening to you all talk, is I was just, in Miami for the most recent round of Art Basel there. And, easily half of it was NFT digital installation that it isn't even close. And so anybody who told you that was crazy is crazy. As I say all the time, if I had said to you in 1910, cars, everybody's going to be driving a car, people would have been like, what, are you crazy? Horse, are you nuts? Where are you going to get gas? And they were just wrong. And history is full of examples of really obvious things and we're still dealing with it now worldwide, and I don't want to get into a political discussion, but a lot of things where people are seemingly very obstinate about, oh no, that's crazy. And they're crazy. Are they nuts? What are they looking at? And so it's really important, I think, to actually get out there and see what other people are doing. And somewhat it's being said, you'll find your fans, you'll find your voice, but you will find others that are doing it. that it is amazing. It is really, really important. And that it gives you the sense of commonality, of community. One of the things that's very exciting for us in terms of CaFA and doing the things that we do with Caribbean-based artists is, the goal is that you're just artists. You don't have to be Black artists. You don't have to be Caribbean artists. That we have so many artists that if I pulled it out in front of you and I said, what color is this person? What country are they from? That you wouldn't necessarily know. And there's nothing wrong with heavily Afrocentric or whatever the things are that I find that in the arts in any form, people working through their own personal things, it's very personal. That's all great, but it's only a piece of it. And what you discover when you get out into the world and start to look around you is you're not alone in any way, shape, or form. There's whatever it is you think is just an issue that happens in the islands. Believe me, it happens in the States. That all of this stuff is very ubiquitous, so that there's enormous commonality. And I think it's really important to get out there and see what's going on and not be blind to what other people are doing. So even though I agree, and as they say, it's not in contrast to the idea of believing in yourself or believing in what you're doing and sticking to what you're doing. Of course, you need to do those things. But I do think that sometimes you run into artists that become blind to the fact that there's other people in the world, that there are other things going on, and that they just have their heads so far up their own rear end that they're not really seeing what's going on about them. So one of the things that today, especially the three artists that we have here today, you guys are covering such a wide gambit of style that it really is, it's fantastic. And by the way, I'm very proud of what we do, but it's not all that unique. That like I said, you go places, installations, really video. I've been seeing video installations since the 70s. That somewhere in the very beginning of this, there was a discussion about NFTs. I was incredibly pleased. You all sort of said, well, it's a certificate of authenticity. That is that's like the first level. That's like the surface of just scratching the surface of what an NFT can be. And that anybody who was down in Miami or any of these international art situations, and you're going to see it for a couple of years now, every major art fair, every major institution, they're all scrambling to bring NFTs, to bring installation, to bring video, that they are all looking to do that. It's au courant. By the way, they're interested in Caribbean art. They're interested in diversity. There's a whole world of all of this opportunity coming. And it's not in the closet. I mean, really, everywhere I went, it was actually, I mean, some did it better than others, but they were all highlighting NFTs, which of course, as you say, I actually think it's very interesting. It's enormously complex, but I don't believe that anybody's really done what that's going to be about. To me, NFT, it's like a different medium. It's like as if somebody invented paint. That it's like a really different kind of thing. And I haven't seen anybody really doing what is going to happen with that. I mean, at the moment, it's actually really is. It's like a certificate of authenticity. You see it in memorabilia, a lot of memorabilia, sports memorabilia and things like that. It's very popular because you have LeBron James's basketball and you don't really know, is that his 3,000th point basketball? There's a sense when they turn it into an NFT that it has a certain amount of more authenticity than it might. And indeed, as they say, for those of us that follow sports, certainly stateside, that Tom Brady, the famous quarterback, he's got a business of his own. He's got all of his sports friends. They're just scratching the surface of that element of it, which is a certificate of authenticity. Then you had Beeple, who of course is now doing these multiple images, which is also, I can't even tell you, I get phone calls every day from artists that are like, I have a painting that has 50 gazillion, images. And it's like, okay, I get it. But that's really just, it's really just a little bit.
Give me a second because he's still frozen. But yeah, it's true. I mean, that description of what an NFT is really does touch the surface. And I mean, I know Bonita, you just recently did a talk. And yeah, there's definitely some conversations out there, but definitely I think there needs to be more conversations. But yeah, you wanted to add to that, Bonita, you can go ahead.
No, I'm saying that I connect with everything that Daniel is saying. I hope he's hearing this. Salute. um, but yeah, NFTs, I truly believe that it's like the future for what we do as digital artists, you know. And it's really a case where like this is a medium that we can literally just make anything that we want, you know, like you can do anything that you want with an NFT because the definition of it like is so basic. It's a way to show ownership. But in the future, it's really the sky is the limit. If you want to take it to the moon, you can do it, you know. And I'm genuinely looking forward to that. And I'm excited about that. As an artist that's making digital works where like both me and Sasha did highlight that like our school never really like show us the value of it, or they don't place that much value on it, you know. So to see now that the rest of the world is like, all right, cool, I'm gonna spend $69 million on a collage, what, you know, then everybody else that's out here, what that tells you is that all you need to do is build a following around your work, build build a build a support network, build a support system around what you do, and it's there, you know, like because I'm sure people has been doing this for generations. Like him never did I think about like what kind of money he can make. He was just making art because he loved art. And then NFTs came around, and then he started to really make a different type of money from him work. So again, like everything that we've been saying, just be true to yourself, be authentic to yourself, put out work that you think is genuine and real, and you're gonna start building a following. And over time, you're gonna start monetizing that work on a next level. But just be you as an artist. Yeah, I feel like rambling.
No, it's true and it's good. Also, we're gonna be closing soon, so if there was any questions from our attendees, you can feel free to raise your hand, or I believe you can type your messages of your questions in
Oh,
the chat box. So yeah, definitely don't, like, if you have any questions that you have for any of the artists or anything specific to the exhibition, feel free to ask your questions. And artists, do you guys have any questions for each other? I mean, this is also kind of like a networking in itself by, working or being showcased together and being in this talk. So if there's any questions, definitely feel free
I have
to
a
ask.
question. I have a question for the panel. What do you guys think is next for you artistically in terms of your like career? What are your next objectives? What are your next goals? What are you looking to achieve for yourself? You know?
Oh, okay. So for me, I want to go to grad school. Um, yeah. And I'm basically doing what I want to do right now. I'm just making art. I've always just wanted to be in this space. So I'm kind of like enjoying where am I right now? And I'm traveling soon. So that's something that is major for me. I actually want to do more documentary stuff and more curatorial work because I like curatorial practice. But I haven't been able to do any curatorial work so far. But grad school is definitely on I guess, the next thing that I'm supposed to be doing. I would be the first person to be graduating with my degree from my family. So moving forward, I want to be able to do that. And I mean, is art make me get it, you know? So I want to continue to do that. I currently teach art at a high school here in Jamaica. So that's been going well so far, but it's not what I want to do. And I want to do more residencies, and maybe internships and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking into now.
Yeah, I just moved to New Orleans, so from Baton Rouge, which is like maybe like an hour and and a half away. But just trying to get the studio set up. I'm in the process of creating like my own print shop or like print area, so to speak. Looking forward to gallery shows, hopefully shows at museums here in New Orleans and throughout the US. And then just, I mean, my real goal is to be able to do this long term, you know, to be able to enjoy this life and to be able to create a life that I enjoy doing, to be able to share that with my family, my friends, and glad to say that I'm already living that life that I spoke about. So similar to Sasha, what she said. So congrats again to Sasha. I hope that you are, you know, that you're able to achieve everything that you set out to do. And same thing with my man, Don Dada, right?
Gang, gang, you know what I'm saying?
What about you, Bonita? Did you mention what you had planned? I know you're doing you're doing your thing.
I have a lot. Some of the things are not really that comfortable saying out yet. Because I really just want to like wait until things are fully confirmed before I speak it out. But I think for me, I want to maintain this energy, and I'm looking to just build off of it. My aim with my art has... Oh, we're back. You really cut out.
I know, we really cut out too. It literally went dead. We just had to reboot the whole thing. That's by the way, what's funny about it is that's the new world is that used to be, you really be, oh my God, now everybody kind of knows. So it just goes to show, to put a pin in what I was saying is that life goes on. You know, these technologies continue to move forward and people use them. And anybody that thinks that isn't happening is out of their minds. Yeah, so that's for sure. I wouldn't listen to it.
You know? You're an artist, right?
No, I'm really an event promoter and a coordinator. And I do a lot of work with a lot of different types of mediums. We do a lot of fashion related things and some music stuff and a lot of fine art and some theater, some film, but mostly, as I say, the fashion, the music, and the fine art has been, for CaFA, has been a big thing, and we do it down at Basel. And you're beginning to see that integration. There's no question about it that all of this sort of multimedia is really the thing. And what I would say, which is one of the things that makes the NFT so exciting, is the NFT gives a underpinning to things that traditionally were ephemeral. As somebody had said earlier, you have a JPEG or a digital image, and how do I monetize that? And you really couldn't, and everybody turned their noses up at it. That now with the NFT, you're able to kind of give it some kind of a grounding. That's actually really true in a big way that just hasn't really been scratched the surface of. That one of the things that you hear people talking about quite a bit is immersive. Everybody wants things to be interactive and immersive. And these are it's that'd be great. But it isn't always as straightforward as you would think. One, and by the way, I think incidentally, the more that things become, moving parts and bells and whistles and video game and all that, the more traditional work like what you're doing, John, is really going to have even more value. That I was just speaking to someone the other day, and we do a lot of carnival costuming and things like that. And so one of the bleed in areas of costuming is we'd work with a lot of cosplayers, comic book dress up people. And it's a lot of fun. So you know how it is, whoever you're talking to, they always want to do something different. Everybody's looking to what that guy's doing. I want to be influenced. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I was talking to this guy about it, and he was talking about, he's a sculptor and he makes costumes, cosplay, a very, 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 very serious professional cosplayer. And so I said to him, why don't you try some carnival costumes? And I sent him a bunch of designs and stuff like that. And we'll see if he can figure it out. But his first reaction was, well, he's like, well, I do sci-fi, I do space stuff. And it's like, well, couldn't you merge them? Why don't you let your mind open up to the idea of being influenced? And this is where I think, as I say, which is sort of what I was trying to get to, I don't know if I was articulating it quite right, is it's very important, not just in the arts, in life, to believe in yourself, to have confidence in what you've chosen to do, to work the plan that you've thought out, and to make those things happen. And a lot of times in midstream, you're going to have someone tell you you're crazy, or somebody who you thought would support you doesn't support you. And now you derail a little bit, and you have to, in life, not just as an artist, you have to have the emotional fortitude to keep going.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be so arrogant as to think that you are the only one that ever thought of something, or that somebody else's ideas don't have value. That great, they talk about, great artists, they're looking at other artists all the time. That's really part of it. And there's nothing wrong with being influenced by what somebody else is doing. I mean, really, you see it all the time. People say, oh my God, that was so cool, I'm going to do something just like that.
Yeah,
and that it's really important, I think, especially for young artists, to be available to what is out there, not just contemporary, but certainly go back and look at the history books. That's what makes the Caribbean art so lush, is because you guys are influenced by a history that isn't as well known or as oversaturated as some of the so-called first world, European or American artists, those people. And so there's a freshness to what's coming. But that doesn't mean that it isn't or shouldn't be steeped in the history. And that is, to me, where it really is so key. The ability to make something your own, make something original, but have, a certain amount of the underpinning of that which brought it forward. And that, in my opinion, is the NFTs that are going to really take off, are based in an industry that already kind of exists and that nobody's quite gotten it yet. I see so many artists that are basically like, okay, I have a painting, now I'm going to turn it into an NFT, and it doesn't really, who cares? First of all, I mean, there's a whole political discussion, which we're not going to get into, about, the dark money involved in this and the energy consumption. There are a lot of interesting elements of NFT that have to do with cryptocurrency and are really big issues and bleed into other elements of the fine art world, in terms of the galleries and their collusions to push prices on certain artists and a whole world of that kind of stuff. But for sure, when you just look at it as a medium, it's a new one. There isn't really any. You can point at things, but there really isn't. And that, to me, is super exciting. And as I say, the person who really breaks through and discovers how to make it work is a person who is watching what everybody else is doing, that isn't living in a vacuum and saying, oh, I'm just doing my thing, that they're watching everybody else and they're paying attention to trends and what goes on. And one of the things that's so interesting when you look at a guy like Jeff Koons. Jeff Koons, you could say he's a great artist, not great. Nobody's good enough to be worth the kind of money that they sell his stuff for. But the reality of it is some of those sculptures, they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to execute them. You couldn't just do it in a vacuum. It isn't enough that he's good enough. There's a whole world of execution and coordination that goes into some of these very, especially installations. And some, those kinds of things. The NFT will be part of that. Video projection. These things frequently are kind of labor intensive, maybe cost intensive, that they require, a cast of thousands, and you have to be part of that world. You can't just be, you can, I guess, but I think it's a mistake, and it isn't. Which is, I'm trying to say this I'm not articulating it quite right. They're not in contrast to each other. They're not at loggerheads. You can be independent, believe in yourself, have original ideas, and have a healthy respect for what everybody else is doing, for the history of things. And I just think it's so important, especially as we enter into this era. And again, particularly with our non-traditional group here in the Caribbean, there's an incredible opportunity here to
Yeah.
really be a front runner, a pioneer even in certain types of work, which is, you know, is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I really do encourage everybody to get see what's going on out there and be part of it.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely, I mean, I think it's an art style. I always say, like, I think there's an art style that exists right now. I just don't know what the name of it is, but I'm really grateful. Thank you, you know, Daniel, for being here as the CaFA representative. Thank you to CaFA for having the non-traditional show again this year. Thank you to the artists. John, you showcased with us last year. Thank you to Bonito and Sasha for being the new artist. And over there in Jamaica, it is really amazing to have that kind of, I don't want to say cross-cultural, very similar culture, cross-island collaboration. So I really appreciate you guys being part of it. And thank you to the other artists as well. Everyone listening, I appreciate you being here. And yeah, if you're in Barbados, definitely go to Norman Center and check the exhibition out in person. Also, definitely make sure to check out Bonito's piece because it does have an augmented reality feature to it. So it, like, just use your phone and scan and, you know, really engage with that. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a great Saturday afternoon. Thank you for being with us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Zoe. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe. Peace, yo.
But thanks for organizing all
And
of this.
Zoe.
Here because of you.
You're welcome, no problem. Bye, guys.
All right.